Assalamualaikum or hello everyone and welcome back to my channel or welcome to my channel. My name is Shuraim Sipar and today I will be presenting a project. The title of this project, before I say the title of this project, I have to say that this project took a long time to make and it took a lot of research to make as well. But it was pretty interesting to make and it was kind of fun to make as well because the title of this project that I have made is Allah's humiliation. It's all about, well, the title says it all. This is all about the ways Allah humiliates, which I will be telling you soon of. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, just to quote, everyone is afraid of a bloodbath, but only believers are afraid of Allah's wrath. Shuraim Sipar 2024. So, in this project that I made, I'll be mentioning different remarks and different ways that Allah used in the Quran to make the reader, the person that's reading the surah or the ayat, to feel like actual interest or feel absorbed in the Quran. And as a way of showing that when Allah humiliates, he humiliates badly, like so bad you want to just dig a hole in the ground, just contemplate while you sit in it. So just to mention that every single one of these remarks or lines I mention will be used, no, actually will only be from the Quran unless mentioned otherwise, which they won't be mentioned otherwise because all of these are from the Quran. All these are surahs that you can go read yourself and find stuff in, they're all pretty relatively short surahs, so I'm sure you can read them too if you want to. So without further ado, let's really get started. Okay, so first up on our list of 6 items, we have the 104th surah of the Quran, Surah Al-Humaza, or that translates into the backbiter. Now this surah has 9 ayats. Surah Al-Humaza has 9 ayats, and the ones I'll be mentioning for these snarky remarks will have they will be in the middle. So there will be 4, 5, and 6. The ayats 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to be starting from the 4th one, and I'm going to say the translation. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Kalla layubadanna fil hutama. That was the 4th ayat of this surah. It means not at all. Such a person will certainly be tossed into the crusher. Wama adraka mal hutama. And what will make you realize what the crusher is? This is the 5th ayat. Narullahil muqada. It is Allah's kindled fire. That's the translation of the 6th one. Now, let me just give you some context, because see, the reason is why you need some context for this surah, because I'll say the full translation first. Not at all, such a person will certainly be tossed into the crusher. And what will make you realize what the crusher is? It is Allah's kindled fire, and then the rest goes on. So, in the previous ayats of the surah, it mentions different people, bad types of people. They think, oh, this thing, my wealth is gonna make me immortal, and people that backbite, slander, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in one of my reels about these kind of people. So that's the context for this. So Allah saying not at all, these people will be tossed into the crusher. So the reason why I put this in here is because I really like the fact that Allah questions us first before telling us what the crusher is. Oh, not at all, they will certainly be tossed into the crusher. And what will make you realize what the crusher is? It is Allah's kindled fire. So if you say in the right tone, it's kind of hubris, because it's probably the crusher is so painful that even Allah is not saying. Allah is saying what will make you realize what this crusher, what this thing I'm talking about is. It might be a bit of a stretch saying that he's talking about the pain, but in my thoughts, yes, he is. He's talking about how painful it will be and what the crusher is instead. I just really like the cheekiness in that question. It's like the answer is also great because it gives us a straight up answer after questioning us. Okay, so next up we have Surah Al-Fil, the 105th surah of the Quran, and actually the surah right after Surah Al-Humaza, the surah we were previously talking about. So like we have surahs right next to each other. So to give you some context of Surah Al-Fil, it talks about the consequences of the actions of Abraha, who was also known as Abraha al-Ashram. He was a ruler of Yemen and like modern day Saudi Arabia, that area. This is talking about a very infamous event which happened during the 6th century, during the time when Prophet ﷺ was just a child and he was being taken care of by his grandfather Abu Muttalib. This happens in the last ayat, and it happens to be one of my top favorite ever moments which happened. One of my favorite remarks. It happened in the last ayat, and this infamous event is actually talking about when Abraha tried to he was trying to destroy the Kaaba Sharif. So I'll recite it now for you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is in the 5th ayat, by the way. فَجَعَلَهُمْ كَأَسَفٍ مَأْكُولٍ, leaving them like chewed up straw, or also another footnote of the translation, worm-eaten leaves. Now, can you imagine being called chewed up straw? Yeah, I can't imagine it either. Can you imagine being called chewed up straw or worm-eaten leaves? That's just pure insulting. And you know what makes me clearly think oh, this is just a straight up insult that Allah did, and it's not even a remark, it's just an insult, pure insult. It's because the whole other surah, they have nothing to do with chewed up stone. This surah has legit nothing mentioned of straw or leaves. Nothing was mentioned like this in before. And Surah Al-Fil, it literally means the elephants. What does that have to do with it? Is because elephants chew straw? Who knows? Can you imagine being called chewed up straw? I'm still fathomed at that fact. It's one of my favorites for this very reason too. So, moving on from Abraha and his army being called chewed up straw, we have the next one is the 111th surah of the Quran, Surah Al-Masad, or better yet known as Surah Al-Lahab, which is, well, we all know what Surah Al-Lahab is about. It's about Abu Lahab and his wife Arwa bint Harb, also better known as Jamil, in Jahannam, which they both totally deserve. They were both terrible people. So this is in the second last ayat, the 4th ayat. I will be reciting it for you now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَامْرَأَتُهُ حَمَّالَةَ الْحَطَبِ, and so will his wife, the carrier of thorny kindling. Now you may be wondering, hey, what does this have any humiliation to do with it? Sure, she's in Jahannam, but this doesn't have any special humiliation. Jahannam is mentioned multiple times. Well, see the irony. This is about irony. This is the meaning of irony right here, in case you don't know. The irony in this is that she used to carry thorny branches, not even normal branches, thorny branches, and throw them in the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now as the irony, she will be carrying thorny firewood in Jahannam to her own husband and her own fire. She'll be tending to it with, guess what? Thorny branches, just like the one she used to throw at Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what's the irony in that? I really like that fact. It's also known as Tabbat Yada, which we in my school we call it Tabbat Yada because we didn't really know the name of it. So yeah, so it's just the irony in this one which makes the punishment just 10 times worse. Can you imagine having this bad of a punishment, and it's being mentioned in the Quran as well? So many people are gonna read that and know about it, and they're just gonna condemn you for your entire existence, which you deserve, by the way. Okay, let's move on to the next surah. So the next one is the 101st surah of the Quran. It is Surah Al-Qari'ah, or the Calamity. It has 11 ayats, and the reason I wanted to add this to here is just the whole. It's kind of like the whole surah in general, but it's just the build up. The build up is the reason why I want to add this. I'm gonna mention like the first 5 ayats. This has 11 ayats, which I will be mentioning again later on after I explain. So I'll recite it for you. First of all, the surah's name takes surah's name comes from the first word of the actual surah itself. It is the word Karya, which refers to the day of judgment, the end time, eschatology, stuff like that. Okay. Rajim, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First ayat. Al Karya, Mal Karya, Wama Adraka Mal Karya, Yawma Yakunun Nasu Ka Farashil Mabsus. Al Karya, the striking disaster. Mal Karya, what is the striking disaster? Wama Adraka Mal Karya, and what will make you realize what the striking disaster is? Yawma yakunun nasu kal farashil mabsus. It is the day people will be scattered like moths. Like the build up. Do you get the build up? Do you get what I'm getting at? The build up is so good. I love the build up so much. It's like Allah mentions he says the word Karya like 3 times in a row. It's like the striking disaster. What is the striking disaster? What will make you realize what is the striking disaster? It's the day people will be scattered like moths. He gives some amazing examples in this as well, like the day people will be scattered like moths. You're being called a moth, and like mountains will be like tufted wool. You can read the surah if you want. It's the 101st surah of the Quran. I'll repeat, and it's like it's called Surah Al-Qariyah. If you didn't learn that by the 3 times in a row, Allah said Al-Qariyah. I take the build up and the suspense. I love it so much. Okay, so the next one is actually the 100th surah of the Quran. The right surah right before it's like Surah Al-Qariyah. It also has 11 ayats. It's Surah Al-Adiyat, or let me prepare for this. The war horses which run swiftly. Yes, you heard me right. That is like the one of the names of it. The English version name, which is a long name. It is. There's like no but in that. It's the 100th surah of the Quran. It has 11 ayats, just like Surah Al-Qariyah. And it's a warning about the day of judgment, the horrors of the day of judgment, and Allah's retribution against all the people's actions. The suspense, like just like Surah Al-Qariyah, the suspense in this is amazing. That's the whole reason I put it in here. So I'll be saying the ayats out of 11 of them. I'm going to be saying the ayats 1 to 5. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal adiyati dabha, by the galloping panting horses. Fal muriyati kadha, striking sparks of fire with their hooves. Fal mughirati subha, launching raids at dawn. Fa'atarna bihi naka, stirring up clouds of dust. Fawasatna bihi jama'a, and penetrating into the heart of the enemy lines. That was like 5 ayats. I'll say the full translation now, like no stopping. By the galloping panting horses, striking sparks of fire with their hooves, launching raids at dawn, stirring up clouds of dust. I am allergic to dust, so this would not be good for me. And penetrating into the heart of enemy lines. So this is talking about like war horses, like riding at dawn, launching raids at dawn, making clouds of dust, having a raid, war horses. Now afterwards it finally like gets to the point and talks about the day of judgment. No, the thing I put this in here for is because this it takes 5 ayats, 5 extra ayats out of 11 to actually get to the point. It's like, this is how serious probably the surah is. So like Allah he does swear a lot when he says something like serious, like in Surah Al-Asr he said, by the passage, I swear by the passage of time, or no, by the passage of time, wal asr. Like whenever he says something important, he does swear on something. This swear took 5 ayats out of 11. Like the build-up takes 5 out of 11 ayats, and I feel for the people that had to remember the surah, 5 ayats of the surah, just to get to the actual point of the surah itself. Like, a good job, Banta, good job. Okay, so our last surah, the mother of the Quran, the first surah, our favorite surah, the acceptance of our prayers, Surah Al-Fatiha. So, did you see what I did build up? Ha. Okay, I don't even need to explain Surah Al-Fatiha. Everyone knows what Surah Al-Fatiha is. If you pray namaz, you know what Surah Al-Fatiha is. It's like the first surah everyone learns. One of the first surahs everyone learns. I want to talk about this in the last ayat, which everyone knows. I think I don't even need to explain what Surah Al-Fatiha is. It's in the last ayat. So, A'udhu Billahi Rajim, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Gairil Maghdubi Alayhim Waladdallin. Not of those who you are displeased with, nor of those who are astray. Context is obviously this is an agreement, and the reader is telling Allah what path that they want to be on, and after telling them which path they do want to be on, the one of those who Allah has blessed, the reader is telling Allah which path they don't want to be on. Like, the reason why I put this in here is not of those who are you displeased with, nor of those who are astray. It's because, can you imagine having a whole other section of bad that you did? Like, it's like you break something, or you do a crime so bad that they have to make a whole new law, a whole new force just to not, they have to make a whole new law so that doesn't happen again. So it's illegal. Can you imagine? That's what basically this is. Might be a bit of a stretch, but it reminds me of it. It's like you did something so bad that you got a whole section to yourself. Can you imagine having the type of bad, you have a whole section to the type of bad you are, and it's the first thing too. People recite it's the first thing in the Quran. If a person starts reading the Quran from the beginning, they are going to read this eventually. Which technically, even though it's the last ayat, it's the first surah, so that counts. It's such a short surah, they're guaranteed going to read it. If not memorized, they're gonna read it. And every person that prays namaz, even if they don't understand what the surah means, they condemn you every time they pray. Every rakat, they condemn you without even knowing. Most people probably don't know the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha when they say it in their prayer. It's like they don't even know they're condemning you, and they still are every day. They're condemning you. Because we say Surah Al-Fatiha almost every day, let's be honest. Can you imagine? Wow. So that was basically all the points or remarks I had collected so far. But I am positive as I continue to read the Quran, I will find more points and more of these remarks that Allah says, or these tactics Allah uses. I'm sure about it. Which reminds me why I wrote this made this project in the first place. See, I wanted to prove that the Quran is not as boring as most of us think, as we think. A lot of people think that a big thick book with a hard cover and no pictures just automatically equals to boring, which is not true with a lot of books. It's a lot of time that's not true, especially with the Quran, books with See, not all big books are all big books aren't entertaining to all audiences, or they're not entertaining to everyone. Even if they convey an important message like peace, like Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. I've never read that book. I always hear about it because of the Peanuts movie, but that went off topic. Okay, but like I was saying, even if a book conveys an important message, like that's what the human attention span is. It's not entertaining for all audiences, because that's, like I said, that's what the human attention span is. Like, you have to show and tell, show and tell. You have to like do hand movements and stuff like that, or the person gets distracted or they zone out the conversation. You have to do both, because they'll turn off and there's like something in the click in their mind, and then like remember something from when they were like 5 years old and just think about that. Okay, but that's why the Quran is just amazing. It keeps the reader interested and keeps like the reader focused on the book while not getting bored, while also conveying the most important messages, important rules, and important guidelines of all time, ever. Plus, if you read it in the correct way and in the right mind, right angle, like you're in a good mood and you read the Quran, like I did, like you'll probably find it like a little bit funny. Even you might just find a funny remark in there somehow if you read it in the right mind. That's what I did as well. I really tried thinking it through, and like that's all I had to say so far. It's like that's all I had to say. I tried thinking this through a lot. Like this took some time, and it was enjoyable as well. That was time well spent. Like, you know, one thing that's really cool is that this whole thing started with like one sentence. Like I was randomly just reading the Quran, and I came up with this like I was reading Surah Al-Fil. I was supposed to be reading Surah Al-Hamza, but I got distracted. Sorry. I got distracted and I started reading Surah Al-Fil. I was like, hey, what's the next surah like? And then I got the chewed up straw, the chewed up straw insult. I was like, hey, this is funny. And then this whole thing started. The rest is history. It's cool that this whole thing started with like one line, one sentence, but it's also kind of scary what like a few words can like lead into, which is similar to, if it's not the example, an example of, guess what, the butterfly effect. That's right, when one thing sets motion into like a whole other, like, I don't know, like you step on a butterfly and there's like a tornado on the other side of the earth. Who knows? That's the butterfly effect. You don't know what's gonna happen by one little thing. So what I learned from this, there's one lesson we can all take away from this. Allah is amazing, great at complimenting his servants, his believers, but he's even better at humiliating his enemies. Like, I hope you understood that. So I hope you understand and enjoyed this video, and that this motivates you to like find your own roasts in the Quran, because honestly it's pretty fun to do. I'm not kidding, it's actually genuinely really fun to do this. It was too, it probably is. I'll probably find more of these. So that's all I had to say. I hope that you remember, and in case you're feeling sad today or you're having a bad day, I just remember that Allah loves you and that there is good coming right your way. There's like, you get good news, don't worry, you will be getting good news. We should send duas for everyone, and I hope you remember that Allah loves you so much. Allah loves you more than you could imagine. Like, your mind will be blown. Your mind will be blown right now. It's blown. Allah loves you so much, unimaginably, and He is always looking after you. He will always take care of you, and there's not a single moment in your life when Allah will not love you. So remember, if in case you don't want to be called chewed up straw, I'm just suggestion. Maybe subscribe to my channel. I info dump a lot about this kind of stuff. I make videos about this stuff a lot. So to give me motivation to do these kind of videos too, I please I ask you humble request you to maybe subscribe, follow my Facebook page where I upload a lot of reels about this kind of stuff, about different surahs in the Quran. Subscribe to my channel where I upload like once a year. Ring the bell icon so in case you get notified once a year every time I upload, and comment down below maybe did you find it interesting, what did you learn, and I hope you enjoyed this video because I honestly enjoyed making it. Remember, Allah loves you, and I will see you all in the next video or the next reel. Until then, goodbye, and remember, this is just my opinion. I would rather be called a servant of Allah, of the entity that created me, than be called chewed up straw. Allah Hafiz, and have a good day or night.